We are right here. The water is there, that's in front of us, and you're sitting here. Now you see something is missing. All this part is missing. See this? They only have one part of the seats, there's nothing there. But there are seats all around. What happened is that the coastline in Israel is very unstable. The other thing is that the waves actually erode the shoreline. And with the intervention of King Herod, who built a port, he changed the stream of the water. So all the sand that you see here in all the coastline of Israel is sand. The sand comes from Egypt by the waves. But once it's intervening with the nature, there are consequences to it. So during the years, when he built this whole thing that you see where the flag is, and go deep into the water, it changed the stream of the water, so less and less sand actually came with the waves, and eventually the whole port collapsed. Something about a few words about the history and about King Herod and Pontius Pilate. Just put things in perspective. We have King Herod. King Herod died. And then the Romans, and this is, he died probably the year 4 BC. So maybe before the birth of Christ. So maybe he's not the person that actually ordered to kill Jesus. Maybe his son. We don't know. But anyway, none of them was a nice man. So King Herod is dead. Now the Romans had a problem. They had to find someone to take his place, to control this country for them. It didn't work. Nobody could step into his shoes to be so smart and brutal and vicious at the same time. They had no choice but to send a governor. The governor who came from Rome was actually working to what maybe today would say for an office. This was a diplomat, but with more actually power, because he was the highest level, or he represented the emperor in this country. Some of them couldn't care less. They just wanted to finish their job and go back to Rome and get a better job. And some of them wanted to make a little money for themselves, and some of them hated the Jews, some of them couldn't care less about the Jews. So Pontius Pilate was one of those people. And he found himself in Jerusalem at that time when Jesus had been brought to the court. And then you know what happened, and we'll maybe speak about it. But this is, King Herod is now dead. King Herod is dead for about 35 years when this episode took place in Jerusalem. So it's important to remember this point. Now, what we see here is a hippodrome. Hippodrome comes from the word horse, the road of the horses, or actually a horse track. When King Herod built this beautiful town, he wanted to have some entertainment. This was very much part of the Roman culture. The Romans wanted the people to be happy. So actually you could go to any show, like imagine all the movie theaters in the Philippines are free. All the basketball, whatever, the football, everything is free. So people were busy getting into the show and not thinking about how to replace the emperor. This was the trick. So King Herod said, "Look, I'm going to build something here." Now he could not build something like the Colosseum with the gladiators, because the Jews would not tolerate it. This was too brutal. Rome was very much part of the culture, but not here. So he said, "Okay, I'll have horse races for you." So he built something like beautiful. The horses would start there, go counterclockwise, couple of rounds, and in most cases the winner was the guy who was still on his feet, because they would bump into each other. It was very dangerous, especially when you make a 180 degrees U-turn. So anyway, this is how it worked as long as King Herod lived. when the governor came from Rome with military, with police force. Remember who was here? Who was stationed here? Cornelius. Cornelius was not Jewish, and he was probably came from the Roman army. But anyway, when the Roman army came, the Roman soldiers were very upset. They said, "Look, what is this? We're not children. We're not women. We want to see the real thing. What's the horses?" So they said, "Okay, no problem." So basically, they built a wall somewhere around the wall you see there. So left about 2/3 of this beautiful horse track out, and now they could have gladiators and the wild animals and all this, and the horse and the soldiers were very happy. The problem was that now nobody wants to sit here, because if you have lions, not a good idea actually to sit on the first row. Therefore, they did this. You see this? There's a hole here, and they're all there, and the holes all along. They actually put the net here. So this, you see, it's not so beautifully built as this. By the way, you sit on the original seats. It's all original. And then they put the net here. So now they were protected from the wild animals. After a while, they realized that they had more and more problems with the wave, with the sea, with the beach, and then they built a new one. But for some years, this was the place. So you can imagine about 7,000 to 8,000 people all around enjoying their life in a beautiful day like this. All right, let's continue. And actually, he asked Peter, right, to come here. Just want to show you. Peter came from Jaffa. Joppa, hopefully we're going to be there on the last day. So this is basically where Jaffa is. We are a little north. We are somewhere around here. So it's not too far a distance. Jaffa is on the water south of us. Maybe we today 35 minutes, 40 minutes ride, maybe a day walk or 2 days walk, and we are here. So Peter came from here up to here, to this place. Now it's very important to understand historically what happened. First of all, what happened in Jaffa, we'll speak more about it when we'll be there on the last day, but basically it's a very, very important point in the history of Christianity and Judaism, because Judaism is all about following the Jewish law. We have 635 laws. From the moment you open your eyes to the moment you go to bed, everything has to be done according to the Jewish law. Some laws come from the Bible, some laws from oral law, but anyway, this is how it works. Like what you eat and how you prepare the food and so many things. And this is why he was so shocked when he heard that in his vision he was allowed to eat what we call non-kosher food. You know what's the word kosher? Kosher food is a food that is prepared according to the Jewish law and also from specific animals. There are a lot of animals we are not supposed to eat, including sea creatures like shrimp, all the good stuff we live for you guys. Shrimp, calamari, eels, all this crabs. Now we cannot eat this, and so on. So actually, he was so shocked because they said you can eat this food. This is the first split between Judaism and a sect from Judaism that actually developed to Christianity, because the first Christians didn't say, "Oh, I'm Christian." No, they didn't know the word Christian. They knew that they are not supposed to follow the Jewish. This is a different story, but it's important to understand this point. When again we'll be in Jaffa, we'll speak a little bit more about it. The other thing is that someone joined this new sect, and in Judaism, I'll put it the other way. If you want, you are, let's say you are Jewish, you want to become Christian. You go to Pastor Joe and you say, Pastor Joe, I believe in Jesus Christ. I want to be baptized. What is Pastor Joe going to do? He's going to take you to the water, baptize you, and ask you a couple of questions, right? And you are Christian. If you want to become Muslim, it's even shorter. But if you are Christian, you want to become Jewish or Muslim or pagan, that's a long story. Very long story. This is why the Jews are only, after 3,000 years, only 17 million. Not speaking about the Holocaust, but anyway, it's a very, very small group of people who believe in Judaism. So it's very difficult. And here is a gentleman who wants to become not Jewish, but something related to Judaism. Because again, Cornelius himself didn't know exactly what it was, but he heard something, and he says, the other interesting question is why 300 years later, the entire Roman Empire became Christian. That's another, after persecuting Christians, killing Christians because they were Christians, suddenly they all accepted Christians. That's a different historical question. But this is it. So it's important to remember that it's all come from here. This is a very, 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 very important place in the development of Christianity as we know it today. And later, this place become a very important center of Christianity. The bishop of this place was very, very important, and they all joined all the meetings, and of course in Nicaea, and all we know that. But so this is very important. All right. After a while, they said, look, this is a prime real estate location, waterfront. We don't use it for sports anymore, so why don't we develop the place and build homes? And they said, all right, okay. Now they had two options. One, to bring a bulldozer, level the whole place down to the ground, or cover it and build on top. Fortunately for us, they decided to cover the whole place. As you see there, what their archaeologists actually left for us. So not about 40 years ago, I guess, this whole place didn't exist because it was all buried underground. And actually, you see there layers. Now, when the archaeologists come, they basically work with clay, with pottery, and they can identify how old the pottery was or is, and by that tell you that when this relate to, or what was there first and second based on the pottery. Of course, if they find a coin, that's the best thing, so it helps them to actually date the place. But this is what it is. So actually, this is sewage. They were very sophisticated. We talked about toilets. They also had sewage. They also had water systems, like a modern city with the different tools and different equipment and different material. But this is part of the modern town, which is 1700 years ago, but very modern those days. So people lived all the way up here above us. We are now underground, and this is the system. So basically, they did not destroy this thing, but they actually, there's another one up there. You see, there's another tunnel there for water. There was sewage. There's another one here. So they were houses, like in modern houses today. And probably they would dump it to the sea. Walking in the street, which is go from west to east. But in about a minute, we'll be in a street that goes north-south. Again, this is, you go to New York, you have streets go west-east, and then I think avenues north-south. And the idea come from the Roman town. They were very, very important for them, the order, and this is how they could control the city. And there was streets and avenue and blocks. The whole point of in America, 2 blocks away, 1 block away. This all comes from here. So we are in a town that was built over the horse track, over the seats that we saw right there. try to remember to understand that it would all be plaster. They wouldn't see the naked stone. Everything would be beautifully plastered. So you can see the city was very wealthy. There was a lot of money. People could spend money on a mosaic. And these are the original color of the stone. They didn't paint the stones. They had to find a stone with different colors. Lovely. They paid a lot of attention and put a lot of money. Beautiful floor with the mosaic colors.
Public, that means sabay-sabay, no?
Yeah, this has been actually fixed by the archaeologists and the park authority, but in some places you see this is the wheels of the chariots. In some places you can see that there's one exactly on the other side. And from my understanding, the rails today in the railroad is the same width of the chariots that they were using so many years ago. Corridor come from the word port. We don't want to visit this gentleman, cardiologist, but he's in charge of the port, the center of the body. So this is the corridor. Anywhere you go, Pastor Joe went to Pompeii, or you go to Rome or Greece, always the main street goes north-south. So anywhere you go, you feel at home. You know pretty much how to find your way if you're Roman citizens, because anywhere in the empire it will all look the same. In a way, not exactly. You go to America, and every downtown you have a place for baseball or a place for football, and you have McDonald's, and you have movie theaters. Same idea then, but if you go to, if you're American and you go to China for the first time, the first night you go to eat McDonald's. You hate McDonald's, but you know this is something you are familiar with, America. Next day you eat whatever they serve you, but the first night, I won't take my chances. The same thing 2,000 years ago. Means of the wave breaker to the right where the wave breaks, there was another one on the left. Look at this. This is also very important, because what happened is the waves come from here, from the south, from Egypt, carrying the sand. Now, the sand is the enemy of a port because it blocks the port. So they first build this to stop this, and then they build the entrance to the port that direction, exactly the opposite. So ships would come and go this direction from there, and also this is where Europe is, somewhere around there. But the main thing was, of course, the sand. The other thing is this. This is very important. This is basically was right there behind us. This is a temple for the Roman gods. Remember, this is a Jewish town. This is a Jewish town, Jewish country. King Herod is a Jewish king. The Jews would go crazy if this had been built in Jerusalem. They started a war for much lesser things. Here he could do whatever he wanted. It would be more important for him to impress his Roman emperor than the relationship with the Jewish leadership and the Jewish population here. Now in Rome, the emperor was God. So you build this in honor of the emperor, and everyone who comes from here, the first thing would see this. And of course this Romans and others, non-Jewish. So it was very important for King Herod to show his gratitude to the Roman king. And this is where we came from. This is the theater that we visited. This they built this later after they this part of it got destroyed. So ships would come all the way up to here, right down here. This would all be water. People would climb up toward here. This is a replica, of course, not the original. Sacrifice and whatever to their god or pray or whatever, and then go to their business. During the years, sand, because they stopped using this as a port, and because part of the shoreline sank to the bottom, actually this all filled up with sand. So now they have coffee shops or whatever, but remember, this is all what it was. They took Paul from here, came out and sailed that direction to Tyre, Cyprus, and as we saw. So it's again, it's important to see what happened, how the city looked, and where it happened. So we'll go now down and see this 12 minutes or 30 minutes movie.